We were born spirit. We've never not had a spiritual practice. At some point, though, we come to this place where our spiritual practice becomes conscious. Yes? We wake up to the understanding that we may have some kind of choice in this matter, that we may be creating the world or the universe in which we exist. We understand that we are connected to the One. We understand that that as we choose we are making the world that we see. And a lot of times this awakening to ourselves as a being with choice, that happens because we see ourselves in some respect as having failed. We may see ourselves as some kind of ridiculous failure, or maybe we are just suffering so deeply. In other words, when we wake up in the early hours of the morning, we are unable to make peace with ourselves. And on some level, even if we're not consciously aware of it, or even if we wouldn't use these words to describe it like this, we are terrified of what it means to be ourselves. And we may ask ourselves a question like, how can I live with myself? Something like that. In short, the way that we once lived with ourselves, or the way that we once moved around in this world, seems to not be working for us anymore. And we become aware that we need to find another way to be in this world. Maybe we're angry, right? Maybe we notice that with the people in our lives who are closest to us, in those most intimate personal relationships, we are not able to give love. It could be something as simple as that. Maybe we come to realize that we're unable to love ourselves. Maybe we realize that we don't know what it means truly to love God. Maybe our physical bodies are suffering. Maybe we're overweight. Maybe our bodies are weak. And maybe we feel sluggish and depressed. Maybe we're noticing that we're failing in some respect at our job, right? The things that we used to love to do, we don't want to do those anymore. Maybe we don't know how to get out of bed anymore. Maybe we have to force ourselves to get out of bed. Maybe we acknowledge that in those most intimate relationships that we're having with others, that we're relating to those others in a very shallow way. Maybe we understand ourselves as false. We understand that we're unable to communicate the deepest parts of ourselves, or we're unable to communicate the hurt that we're experiencing to our intimate partner. Maybe someone else is looking at us and saying, "What's wrong with you?" Or maybe they're saying, "You look like you're in distress. How can I help?" There are many reasons why we may begin to try to change the way we're living, right? There are many faces of suffering. And there are so many possibilities as far as solutions go out there. Maybe Maybe we were born into a particular religion, faith. And maybe in that moment of crisis, in that moment where we see ourselves as having failed in some sense, maybe we choose to return to that faith, hoping that we will find ourselves, right? Maybe we already feel that we've exhausted our faith, and we branch out, we stretch out, and we look for answers somewhere else in some other established faith. Maybe it's just too painful and we begin to medicate ourselves. We notice the symptoms of suffering, and maybe we're not curious enough, or maybe we don't have enough energy, maybe we don't have enough faith, we don't have enough belief in ourselves, and we notice that when we put some kind of chemical or alcohol or drugs into our body, that our pain is relieved. We find something that works. And maybe we've used drugs and alcohol enough now to where we realize, oh, this isn't working anymore. I can't live with myself. And we begin to see, and now we've created another face of ridiculous failure for ourselves. How do we respond to our own failure? And once again, who is it that has judged? What part of our own being is seeing ourselves as a failure? And who established those standards, right? It's a simple question, one that has been asked many times. What is success, right? Because a failure must be being measured against some standard of success. So how and who has established this definition of success in ourselves? That's a very important question, right?